And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome in to RBLR Sports. My name is Musab, and I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling a lot better than last week, I'll tell you that. And with the new week comes new opportunities, am I right? So, I have the opportunity to be talking again with Mr. Podcast Person of the Year, the one and only Stefan. Stefan, how we doing tonight?
How's it going, man? It's going good, you know. I mean, it was a quick turnaround for us. It was a great Sunday out there in Raymond James. I think it's been a long time since we just destroyed someone like that at home. So it was fun to watch and to talk some football because, at this time tomorrow, we'll be right back at it.
Amen to that, Stefan. And I'll tell you this, as sunshine and rainbows as I'm feeling right now, it's also time to get serious. And we at RBLR, as we like to have fun, but we get down to business and we get serious. And if speaking of seriously, if you seriously like RBLR Sports, or maybe you're giving us a try, do us a quick favor, and however you're listening to this, there's a follow button, there's probably a like button, or even a subscribe button. And if you really want to show us some love, we are also at RBLR Sports on all social media. Well, ladies and gents, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for some fun. It's time to talk about some Tampa Bay football. So we got a lot to go over, but I want to start out with overall thoughts, Stefan. How do we feel?
Feel good. I mean, I think from last week, that the offense was outstanding. It was beautiful to watch. How the defense stepped up, for the most part up to the plate. That's 2 consecutive weeks with only 17 points on them. So I was happy. It was a good game, and it was very fun to watch. The offense, up and close, and just seeing AB and Mike Evans and the rest of the boys just feast. It was extremely fun to watch.
I'm with you right there. And I'll also say this, that for me, it was kind of like the vibes were completely different, or have been, within these last few games we've played, just because it was like a 1 o'clock game. Weather was beautiful. We're back at home. And Stefan, the best part is it's the Miami Dolphins. So, we already kind of had some preconceived notions about how this game was going to turn out. So let's get on to it. Let's start out with the good. What are the good things, or what's the first good thing that you got out of that game, Stefan?
We got to start with Mr. 44 years of age, right? Tom Brady. What a hell of a performance. And there's something to be said. He played against Miami for a long time, and they've always had, kind of his number. So it was, I knew he was going to be ready to roll of all those years that he was in that division. I mean, what can you say about a guy who had 411 yards and 5 touchdowns, which is actually the first time in his career he's ever gone over 400 with 5 TDs. That was impressive. The other thing, Musab, that I wanted to get your opinion on of him, that I've been enjoying these past 2 weeks, my man rushing for some first downs. He's looking, does Tom Brady have some wheels now? I mean, he's been looking really good, in really good shape. I think it's
that TB12 diet, Stefan.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. So I guess now people probably believe him, that injury that he had last year. I mean, we never saw this last year, so it was fun to watch. So what did you think about his performance?
I mean, as you said it yourself, it just gets better and better. The guy doesn't look like he's aging at all. And, for me, it was just like when things click really well, and it's not just with Tom Brady and the rest of the guys, it's just more the rest of the guys. When they're clicking real well with their leader, Tom Brady, I just feel like everything just looks perfect. It really does. And he was on fire. He really was. Minute by minute, he was looking better and better. Everything was just looking real nice, and there was some real special connections we had between Tom Brady and some of those wide receivers that game. So I was really, really happy to see that.
I would agree. And talking about wide receivers, that the wide receiving core again made our good list here. I want to read you off some numbers, Musab, and I want to get your thoughts because this was hell of impressive. AB with 124 for 2 tutties. Mike with 113 for 2 tutties. Godwin 7 catches for 70 yards. And even Lenny joined the fun with 4 catches and 43 yards. I mean, can you spread the ball any better than this?
No, you can, and it looked real nice to me, especially the AB Tom Brady connections that we were seeing out there. Just with everything that's been going on in the past, I just feel like this game was it was like I'm back better than ever, ladies and gentlemen. And you got to give a lot of credit to Tom Brady, but also just big creds to AB for just fighting, putting in the work, and it's paying off now. It really is. And the vision that he's always had. You can be faster than him, you could be stronger than him, but if you don't have the experience or the vision like someone like him, then it doesn't work out. So physically, he looked real good, and mentally, I mean, he's looking real sharp now. So I was really, again, really, really happy to see that. That looked just a little Bermuda. It was a little Bermuda Triangle for me, but in a
Yeah.
good way, of course. It was like Mike Evans, AB, and Brady. And I'm sure a lot of fantasy owners are real happy for any of them who have any of those out there. Just they all shine real well, and the connections were just working. And it was also really nice to see how it was just getting better and better. It wasn't like, oh, we were just looking real hot the first or second quarter or something like that, or just the third or fourth quarter. It was throughout the whole game, and they were all just putting in work and giving those DBs a real hard time. It's been a while since I've seen our Buccaneers give the DBs a hard time like that. Just embarrass them. Honestly, it's been a while since we've embarrassed a team like that. So I'm sure PETA might be calling based on the animal abuse we gave to the Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
It was real
Listen,
nice to see, especially that second half.
your point there, those are two corners, for Miami. They get paid a lot of money, and they just got cooked. So that was really impressive, and talking about the defensive side of the ball, how about our boy Shaq Barrett? I mean, big money Shaq here again. Finally, we're starting to see reap the benefits of the big contract there. The past few weeks, he's been looking like himself. I don't know if it has anything to do with JPP being back, but hey, I'll take it. Another 4 tackles and one and a half sack. I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him right now, and even if his press conference, I saw them. They were telling him he told the reporters he doesn't want them to call him Sack Barrett, so he gets in double digits. So listen, I'm liking the attitude. He's played very well. We know that at the start of the year we were a little concerned there. The line wasn't producing like in the playoffs, but the past 2 weeks they've been on it.
Yes, they have. And it kind of reminds me of last season. I just feel like we took a lot of time to warm up, but that was also a different situation just because everyone was like working with each other for the first time. But Stefan, it reaches a point after all these struggles that, our D line has had, or just the ups and downs we've had this past season so far. And with, JPP out, things coming in and out, players coming in and out because of injuries or COVID, reaches a point where someone like Shaq Barrett, our Mr. Contract guy, you got to step up. So this is exactly what I was expecting to see, game by game, to be looking real sharp, to be stepping up to the plate when no one else can or no one else wants to. Not that anyone else wasn't helping him out, but he was shining. You said it yourself, Stefan. My man Shaq Barrett. Absolutely. I mean, he was my man the game too on the defensive side.
Oh, I
Looking real
agree.
good out there. And listen, that's the Shaq Barrett that we all know, and that's the Shaq Barrett we saw.
Yeah, I agree. And sticking to that side of the football, right? I mean, we have a lot of injuries in the back end, but I gotta give a little credit here to Jamel Dean. He's had a few rough games up and down, injuries, and he's had to step up because of all the injuries. And I even, went out on a limb in the offseason and predicted 5 picks for him. I was glad to see one this week, Musab. I think he'll start to deliver here and step up to the plate a little bit more. This is the guy. This is the guy who I think he's really like all about confidence. I remember earlier in the year, last year, he got cooked a few times, and then when he picked off, Aaron Rodgers and he scored that tutty, from there on, he played unbelievable the rest of the year. So hopefully, my expectation is that this, kind of makes him shine and realize, he deserves to be there. He's one of those guys that, those young corners that he's lengthy, he's really fast, that could really help us. So I'm hoping this pick, sends him up to the mountaintop there for a little bit till we can get our guys back, and him and Sherman, I don't feel that that bad anymore. If Jamel Dean can look this like he did last weekend.
I'm 100% with you on that, Stefan. I'll tell you this, that my overall thoughts of what the DBs performed or the way they did was things were looking just a lot prettier than they have in the past. And, listen, it's going to take time, but this is exactly what I was saying during the offseason. There's going to be some backups, some people that we just never thought would ever have to step up or shine. And that's Jamel Dean. He's young, and you said it yourself, Stefan. He's got it all. He really does, and he's got the potential. He's got the spark. And you know what? When you keep messing around with the spark, you ignite the fire. And I'm telling you this, we're going to be seeing that fire real soon if you haven't already. And I also just want to give a shout out to Ross Cockrell as well.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's the small things, it's the small improvements that you see game by game that make you feel better. Because listen, this was just week 4, and also it's a little more straightforward that our DB situation has always been a big mystery mark, and it's been a weakness. It's an Achilles heel for us, as a lot of teams would say. So for that reason, when you're aware of that, when you know that, hey, D-line's looking real hot, we know we're not working like they are, and that's why we gotta be more aware. We gotta keep changing things up. We gotta find what works out for us. And also, you got to find out what works well with, the starters and the backups when they're mixed together. With situations where one of our starters, has to sit out or something for whatever reason. This is when it was most important. And I guess it just looked really nice, or extra nice, because it was the Miami Dolphins. But this was really nice to see. It really was.
Listen, at the end of the day, I agree with you. The Dolphins are not a very good team, but it creates confidence, and the Lord knows we need it in the back end, right? So anything helps. They played really well, and I like you pointing out Cockrell because, low key, he's been the only consistently healthy guy up until we brought Sherman, and he hasn't looked that bad. I mean, all the rumors were that he had a great training camp, and he's actually not looked that bad, except in the Rams game. So I'm hoping that as the season goes on, especially later in the season when we meet a team like Buffalo, we can fully be healthy there in the back end, and these guys have played so much that they'll be able to contribute as well. But moving on to the last guy in a good segment here, who we both seem to love, and I'm excited to talk about today again. Playoff Lenny, Musab, is he officially back? I mean, 12 carries for 67 yards, 5.6 a clip. That's really good, and another TD.
Yeah, I mean, Stefan, the way I've been seeing him play these last 3 games, it looks real nice. Obviously, is it all sunshine and rainbows? No, but he's looking really good, and he's my starter now. That's something I would stamp for sure. That
RB1,
playoff
right?
Lenny is. Oh yeah, he's our RB1 right now for sure. It's just the way he runs, the vision he has. The way he pushes through, I love his aggressiveness. I love that he really uses those legs. He really does, especially when you really need that yard or two. So I think it's just come down to this, that someone had to step up. It was always back and forth. It was always who's really that guy, and Is Leonard Fournette that guy for the rest of the season? I can't say that yet, but is he that guy or the RB1 for this upcoming game? The way I see it, yes. We're going to be looking on him. Okay. Yeah, sure, we can count on, Rojo and, Giovanni Bernard, but he's our guy, and I think that's just another thing that is slowly kind of getting better. When the way I kind of saw it was like the transition was going from like a 80 or like a 80 QB, 80 wide receiver situation. Now it was looking honestly like 99, the way we were just annihilating them. But our running back, it was kind of like 50-ish, and now I'm feeling more like we're at like a 70 now. Things are looking a lot better. It was really nice to see just playoff Lenny racking up those yards, and I also, it's just a really small random thing, but I love the way he kind of he's looking real shifty more than ever, honestly, especially this last game. He was looking real shifty, and love the way he kind of just sticks his arm out, directing his teammates, okay, working with his teammates, but also using that for a stiff arm. So he's got it. He really does. It's just going to take a little bit more and more time to just kind of perfect those little kinks that he needs to work on. But that's really about it for me.
I
And
agree.
a little quick shout out to Giovanni Bernard. But I mean, for me, yeah, it was more about playoff Lenny and Giovanni Bernard. But I want to hear what you got to say as well.
No, I agree. Listen, and something that we spoke about him in the passing game, right? I mean, I think here at RBLR, we're loving this dual threat action from Lenny, right? I mean, we struggled a lot last year. Who can catch the ball from the backfield? This guy seems to have put that work in the offseason to be able to consistently catch that ball, and you even see it in short third downs. We saw a check down where Tom Brady changed the play to give it right to him and get kind of that pick play with Antonio Brown, and it worked. So, I mean, he's gaining the trust of the QB too. But a good point that you made earlier, to keep a guy like this who's so physical, healthy too. I'm not the biggest Rojo fan, but keep feeding them, all three and them both. So when it's time for the playoffs, we get the best of Lenny, and he's playing outstanding. So, I'm with you. He should stay RB1. And to your last point, Giovanni Bernard. I mean, another touchdown. I mean, and that's what we brought him here for, right? Those third downs where you are gonna be predictable, a quick screen, or he sits right in the middle, kind of gets that tutty. That's 2 weeks in a row. So also loving his play. Unfortunately, I'm not the biggest Rojo fan. He just keeps missing too many passing blocking situations for my taste. So talking about a little bit there, down pit there. We'll move into our bad segment here. And we'll start with the penalties, Musal. This is something that I know they've been going down a little bit, but again, 6 penalties for 47 yards. I mean, can we please get, around three, little less than that? I mean, I just feel like this is going to come and haunt us in another big game, sort of like it did in the Rams. And, we don't, I would I would say this is a big game for us this Thursday. It's the next game, and it's a short week. I mean, it's not a bad football team, and I just don't appreciate those pre-snap penalties. Really drive me crazy, Musab. So what are your thoughts here? I mean, is it just discipline? Like, I just don't understand.
Discipline, a few other things, is the chemistry and experience, but yeah, 6 penalties for as you said, about 43 yards. That's gonna bite us when we play against some playoff caliber or Super Bowl caliber team, Stefan. But it's also really important this upcoming game. And I'll tell you why, because those kind of penalties, the pre-snap ones, the ones that, affect you mentally when they're called, those are just going to bang you up mentally. We're already kind of coming off only a few days from our Sunday game against the Dolphins. And, we're going against the Eagles. And are they...
Crowd in Philadelphia.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, you can imagine that as well. Yeah, a little shout out to the crowd, but... what I was trying to say was basically is, they're not the Rams, but I think they're going to be coming at us, and I think they'll be taking advantage of the the situation that we're dealing with right now. But for that reason, Stefan, we can't afford those. Discipline is going to be the biggest thing out of anything else in this game. It's not going to be the chemistry. Yeah, sure. Listen, those kind of things are going to happen here and there, and it's okay if they happen now, whatever. But those silly mistakes, the ones that everyone knows, the fans know, the coaches know, man, even the players know that. Oh my, do we really have to do that? Or wow, like man, we really screwed up. Or he screwed up or something. So. You never know how costly it can be. The Eagles fought back, and they won their last game. And I would hate those 43 yards, or even more or less. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Even if it's 10 yards, if those kind of bite us and allow our opponents to win. These are the small things, and I'm really glad you brought this up, Stefan. These are the small things that, a lot of people may have just shrugged off this past game because we just destroyed, we ran over the Dolphins. But these are things that, we got to work on. This was like a scrimmage game, and, even out of a scrimmage, you got to take some things. You have to learn from your mistakes, and this is definitely something that we should easily be fixing ASAP. This is a high priority for me. It doesn't become a high priority too much when the game's actually going on, and I feel like sometimes people forget about that, but this is something we're going to have to keep an eye out on for sure, because It's just gonna get harder from here, aka we're gonna reach the playoffs, so we're gonna be playing some good teams. We can't afford to be wasting any opportunities or just slipping here and there for no reason.
I agree. I mean, simply said, imagine, this type of, again, we destroyed them, but against Buffalo, you have, 6 penalties, 3 were pre-snap. I mean, I just don't really appreciate pre-snap because that's just preparation and you just can't have those, right? I don't mind the penalties, during the play. I mean, those are just going to happen. They happen on both sides, but not knowing the count or, being offsides like JPP on that first drive, which leads into our next topic, the slow defensive start, right? I mean, the reason this one made the bad list for me was this is a home game, so you should come out with a lot of energy. You shouldn't be seeing, these dumb penalties that allows Miami to even be in this game from the jump. And I just didn't appreciate that they were able to go down the field and score 10 points off the bat. Like it was pretty easy for them to go down, honestly, and score. And then if you really think about it, like why did it take that for us to play good defense, right? Because then the rest of the way they only scored 7 points. And I do think that if our defense, even though we have some injuries and we all know them, they are injuries that hurt, but if we can actually, put together 4 quarters straight, we're not that bad. I mean, you have playmakers still. You got the line, which is incredible. You have a Devin White. These things shouldn't be happening, and especially at a home game, I don't see why you should be, starting slow defensively. I mean, there's a reason why we declined to knock at the ball, right? You're expecting a defense to stop, and so we go down and put 7 on the board, especially with the offense we have. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, another slow defensive start there.
Yeah, 10 points right off the bat for me was not anything that I was looking forward to / even really expecting. Sure, I was expecting some of those kind of off the bat points or whatever in the second half, even whether we were annihilating them or not. But the fact that this was kind of happening in the beginning, it kind of reminds me of what I was saying a lot last season, which was, are we just a slow starting team? Even if we just have all these kind of stars, are we a kind of team that, maybe because we have these, players in and out or whatever, that we kind of want to play it a little safe, get a feel of it. Well, it was fine, I guess, maybe, the first quarter or whatever, but this was, yeah, especially on the defensive side, just seeing those kind of slips or seeing them be able to get down the field like that, it was a little scary at first. My mood, and I'm sure everyone's mood, was a lot different in the second half, of course, but I don't know. The slow start it's a mystery mark for me. It wasn't something I was too happy about because it was the Miami Dolphins. If this was something like, going against the Rams, I would be like totally understandable. Absolutely.
But to that point, Musab, if that start happens against a good team, the result is we might actually lose.
Yeah, we may lose, or we may pick up the pace as we have been doing in the second half. It's just, there's always, I feel like every game, Stefan, there's always a mystery mark here or there. When you reflect about the past game, there's always a mystery mark. Like, is this something that's going to consistently happen? Is this something that's just going to pop up and it's just something that has been happening or been popping up so much in the past that it's not something that we're too aggravated about immediately, like other things? But I don't know. These small little, this is another small little like kink that I think we can just fix real quick. It's just a matter of how much time we need to take and, the discipline and the chemistry. But for me, I was expecting a little bit more out of the defense, especially the D-line, more than anything. I think that we were giving them some random opportunities. Listen, that's going to happen because, that's how the game works as football. But I don't know. I would just say that I feel like the Dolphins would be coming into the second half a lot differently if they had someone like Sean McVay on the sideline hyping them up, because the way I saw it, they were in it. They were in it after the first half. Yeah. And you were praying that, okay, well, I hope things start clicking perfectly, which they did, of course. But I was thinking, well, I hope things start clicking real perfect in this second half. And as they did, and that was really nice to see. But giving a team like the Dolphins, a chance like that, or giving them a reason to keep fighting back, That's why the Panthers lost, and that may be the reason we may lose tomorrow if we do not put up a good fight and if we don't stay disciplined.
Listen, I 100% agree, and the reason I brought the crowd in is because listen, this is a tough atmosphere, a tough place to play, and you start slow like that, and Jalen Hurts all of a sudden scores 2 touchdowns. You're down 14-0 with the crowd behind them. You never know what the story can be. So I would hope that in a rowdy crowd in a hostile environment maybe hypes them up. That even feeling comfortable at home. Who knows? We'll talk about that soon, but to end our bad segment here, you made a note here, and I kind of agree, and I'll let you start with this one because I have my points as well, but I kind of want to get your opinion. How much do you worry about someone like Gaskin, right? I mean, and now this week we'll play Miles Sanders, who's a good back in himself, but I don't worry about the ground game, but I want to see where you're going with this, so I can kind of give you my input on this one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the ground game is not a huge worry for me either, but it's just seeing a player like that kind of do rather oddly well on a team like that, or with the situation he was dealing with, aka his team was getting run over, but he was still, putting up a fight as much as he could. It just makes you think, well, if things aren't looking all sunshine and rainbows for us, if we're having a game like we did against the Pats, one or two guys like him can help a team win, help
Oh
a
yeah.
team beat us. So that's just the way I saw it, and that was just like, how do we make sure that if we're already, dominating, how can we make sure that we don't just leave any holes open at all?
Yeah, no, I agree. And if you're a fantasy owner and a Bucs fan, you were probably pumped. The Bucs destroyed him, and he had like 30 plus points in fantasy. So, yeah, I mean, you bring up an interesting point with him, and the reason I wanted to let you go first is because I agree with you, right? In the ground game, not concerned. No one can really run the ball against us, but running backs that can catch the ball have been pretty effective against us so far this year, right? In the short screen game, and even in a check down, it seems to like every time a quarterback checks down, the running backs finds a way to get 5, 6, 7 yards there, and even around the red area, they've been able to score a lot against us. Not in the run game again, but catching the ball from the backfield. So yes, definitely a concern there, Musab. So I love that you brought that point up because it's a concern for sure, especially with the linebackers we have. That this shouldn't be a trend, and it seems to be one. So moving on here, one of our favorite segments, the RBLR moment. This is for those of you who are listening to us for the first time. After we wrap up the prior week's game, me and Musab deep dive into our favorite moment of the game as a fan. Not just analyzing the game. So Musab, that being said, I'll let you jump in here first.
Well, it's not just because I had him on my fantasy lineup, also just because of his history and who he is. And my RBLR moment was Antonio Brown's 2 touchdowns. And the reason why I say that is just seeing someone like him, click real well finally with Tom Brady and rack up 2 touchdowns like that when you're already dominating. It hypes everyone up. And I also want to say that I felt like his performance, or I'll say this, I felt like him catching those 2 touchdowns changed his whole attitude, not just because, okay, wow, yeah, I caught 2 touchdowns, I'm looking real good, but he was really in the zone. I could really tell it, because even after the plays, he was talking to someone, whether that be his teammates, he was getting in the opponent's face, talking to Tom Brady, hey, hey, good catch, or hey, how could I do better, or, hey, what happened, et cetera, but he was looking really, really fired up. The way I've been hyping up Devin White's energy was kind of the way I was feeling about Antonio Brown this past weekend. So that's my RBLR moment. What about you?
I like that, Musab. I think his energy is different, because it's just so different from the rest of the receiving core, right? Because Godwin's quiet on himself. Mike won't say much. They kind of low-key guys, and then you get this guy, when he gets a first down, he lets the entire stadium know, his veins are just popping out of his neck, and it's just very cool to watch when he's in the zone, right? It's electrifying. But, my RBLR moment, I'm going to go with the Jamel Dean pick. I think as a fan, I was just so excited for him because, again, the secondary has always been our question, and seeing someone like him who, has been going through a lot of up and downs, I just hope this sends him up. That this wakes him up. Like, listen, you can do this. You're part of this great. We have a great front seven. You just gotta stay long enough in there and do what you gotta do. And he looked really good. I love the pick. It reminded me of the Green Bay one, even though he couldn't. He didn't score on this one, but I was just pumped for him. Yeah, I think he. I just hope that this just gives him confidence moving forward. Because if it does, Musab, I like. Surprisingly, I won't mind what we have at corner. So. I really enjoyed that one. Moving on to injuries before we deep dive into the Philly game. I'll run down through some, Musab, and I'll let you pick your poison on which ones you concerned about, intrigued, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll let you know that Gronk, Winfield, and Levante David are all out for this game. A point to bring here of emphasis is Levante David, dodged a huge bullet. A lot of Bucs fans like us were probably pretty concerned when he went down. It's only an ankle sprain, so he should be all right. It's a short week, so of course, wouldn't expect him to play. On the good note, JPP actually has a broken finger in 2 parts, but he's playing. He's on track to play. And, Sean Murphy Bunting, Carlton Davis, and Scooter Miller all remain on IR. Anything here that really concerns you moving forward?
Well, before I start, I want to say that this ain't the first time that JPP's dealt with a messed up finger. So I ain't too worried about that. But on the real though, wishing for the best. But the one that kind of sticks out to me is probably, it's the one that is probably the big news for a lot of fans, which is Levante David. Just because of who he is, the presence he has on the field, how important he has been these last few games. Seeing him out, we're in for a treat, and not a fun treat, but just praying for the best. Honestly, that's all I can really say, Stefan. We'll see what happens, with his backup or the backup, Kevin Minter, stepping up. But that's the one that kind of sticks out to me the most, just because of the presence and just because. Someone like Levante David and Devin White, I feel like they're kind of those can do it all, or that's just the position I see that they're at. The ones that they need to do it all, the big communicators, and now more than anything, as great as Levante David is, it's also the communication, the leadership that will now be missing. We'll see who steps up, but listen, you're not, no matter who you are, no matter who's hopping in or no matter who's stepping up, it's not Levante David, so it's going to be a different situation. We'll see how much it bites us, or I don't know, maybe it helps us, maybe, I don't know, probably not, but how much it bites us. But that's about it. The DB situation with Winfield, out. The way I've been seeing Jamel Dean's name, the way we've been talking about him, I really want to make sure this guy really gets a chance, and I want to give him as much time as he can have as possible, because I think he's got something special in him. Game by game, I'm feeling better. I don't have any big statements to say about him, but for that reason, my only big one is right now Levante David. We don't need to be pushing anything on Gronk or whatever. Not that he's any irrelevant person, but I think right now we need to be careful, especially with the situation. There's absolutely no need to just push people like Gronk into a Thursday night game like that. So for that reason, Levante Davis is just the guy that I'm thinking, oof, okay, well, we'll see what happens. But hey, you said it yourself, Stefan. We are also thankful that we dodged the bullet. It's just an ankle sprain, so praying for the best and wish all the best for him.
Agreed. I agree on all fronts with you there. One that really hurts me a little bit too is a guy like Winfield is really good. The good thing is this is a podcast that we've been hyping our boy Mike Edwards, so he's a good backup. He'll step right in there. But yeah, Levante. You can't replace guys like Levante and Devin, right? They're just really, really good at what they do. But like you said, if you're a Bucs fan right now, I know we have a lot of injuries, but the one thing to be, I guess, excited about is, right, as I see it, is none of these are season ending, right? These guys are all supposed to come back. Hopefully, I'm praying and I'm hoping for the best that they all come back right for that Buffalo game, so we can, our next super measuring stick. Because Buffalo looks like they're really legit right now, so it'd be nice to have all our weapons back for that game. that being said, again, none of these are season ending, and we hope we can keep the winning streak going, and wish the best to all of these guys. So that being said, Musab, let's dive into the our Philly preview here. We're favorite. The Bucs are favored by 7 points. Let's start with Jalen Hurts. What are your thoughts on this guy? He has the legs and he has the arm. So what do you think?
I mean, yeah, he has the legs and the arm, and when he clicks real well, which he is, game by game with his receivers, especially the Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts connection that's been going on. It's like the younger version of Stafford and Cooper Kupp, or at least that's the way I see it. Now, are they as dominating or threatening as that pair? No, but they put up a fight. I'll tell you this: Jalen Hurts is, he's a fighter. He's a dog, and he's gonna fight back, and that's what him and the boys did against the Carolina Panthers. So he has that potential. The way I see it is, he's someone that I think I need to see more of him. I think he, rookie-wise or whatever, I think he's definitely up top there. I don't know how threatening he really is to a team like ours, especially being that they're also coming off a Sunday game as well, but they're also coming off a win, so they're a little fired up. But I don't know. I still need to see more of him. He has the potential. He can be an issue, but I think it's kind of a Mac Jones situation. I think at best he's going to have a Mac Jones-esque performance, but I feel like no one really has any big expectations for him. Just hoping for the best on both sides. We're hoping that he ain't too hot, but also Eagles fans are just hoping for the best. So he's kind of just like those people that, hey, you can't hate him. He's doing his best out there. He's doing a solid job, and someone like him, it's just going to take more and more time and experience for him to become a more threatening quarterback. But just hoping we can take advantage of his rookie experience. That's really about it.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to, I don't like quarterbacks that do like a straight run or straight pass, unless of course it's Brady who can straight sling it out there. But I do like dual threats quarterbacks. It presents a whole other dynamic, sort of like that Mahomes, Josh Allen vibe. Obviously, this guy is not one of them, but he does possess both talents of being able to run it and pass it. I also think he's a very mature dude. He had to go through the ups and downs in Bama and then transfer to Oklahoma. So, I think he'll be ready. I do think it'll help him a lot that Levante David out, right? Because that's usually our kind of sort of spy guy, and who's going to be that now? You got Minter, you got White, which we'll talk in our next segment, but it will help him that our guy's out. So definitely Minter will have to step up. So that being said, I'll dive right into Minter here, and then I want to hear your thoughts about him. Him starting for Levante. For me the biggest thing is, right, you lose a leader like Levante. Him and being next to Devin White, that's a beautiful 2-1 punch, right? I mean. What scares me the most about Kevin Minter starting is that who's gonna follow those tight end routes, right? We've known Devin has struggled a little bit in the past with coverage. So is it gonna be Minter? Is it gonna be him? It's gonna be very interesting to see how we do it. I mean, by the end of the day, Minter's a veteran. He's played, he's a captain of our team. He's captain of special teams. He's played for a long time, and last year he did step in for Devin during the Washington football team game in the playoffs, and he looked good. So I expect him to do his job. Obviously, he's no Levante, but he's also, he's not bad. So those are my thoughts on him, but I wanted to hear, your thoughts on Kevin starting and Levante not being able to play in this game.
I have a lot of respect for Kevin Minter, and I think, what you said, his performance against the Washington football team when he had to pick up for Devin White was, he did solid. He got the job done, and I think he will get the job done this upcoming game. But I don't think it's going to be perfect or pretty for him or anyone else over there, especially the linebackers like him and Devin White. The big thing for me is just having that gut reaction read, or the gut reaction communication, reading the defense and just knowing, someone like Levante David, compared to Kevin Minter, I can say is there's just things that you just know more because you're on the field more than the other guy. Okay, so that's what it's going to come down to is, how can someone like Kevin Minter just pick up on things that, Levante does. And obviously we're not expecting you to just be exactly like Levante, but how much can you pick up? How much can he cover for us? So that's all it comes down to is, we're just hoping that he can perform, he can work well with everyone else. And I think this is a really good test. This is a really good test because it kind of leads me to a little quick question, which is, Stefan, is this, having someone like Kevin Minturn into the situation as well, and just with the in and out injuries that we have, is someone like Jalen Hurts going to be our first, like, true or, like a solid dual threat quarterback test?
Uh, I guess so. I mean, I would probably would have said Dak, but that was his first game sort of back because he can move, but with that ankle injury, he didn't really move in that game a lot. So I would probably say yes. I mean, this is it. So it's a good, it's definitely a good test to your point because expectations are hopefully making to the all the way to the Super Bowl, and you'll face guys like this, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers can't. It's not like he'll run, but he can move. And then you'll have probably the face if you make it all the way to Super Bowls. I mean, the Ravens are playing really good right now, so someone like Lamar, who knows how the Chiefs will end up being? But Mahomes can move. We saw what we did to him, but and then a guy like Josh Allen. I mean, that and Jalen can move. He'll take off and run with it. So it'll be a very, very interesting test for us. I think we'll probably go a two shell, kind of how we played Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and hopefully we get home with our front four and leave Kevin and Devin to clean him up if he runs. But it'll be an interesting battle. And yes, to answer your question, absolutely, this is definitely the first test of someone who can actually hold the ball and take off. This guy can take off for sure.
Speaking of Kevin and Devin, that kind of sounds a little neat. So I guess I would say is my dream tomorrow is that we see the Kevin and Devin show and we see Jalen Hurts get dominated by not just Kevin and Devin, but everyone else as well.
I would agree. Some other items here that we will talk about. They do have some weapons. And we just mentioned at the top of the hour here that the running backs catching the ball have been an issue for us, right? And Miles Sanders can do this. They also have Devontae Smith and Jalen, Reagor. They have some pieces, right? So I kind of want to get your, what is your expectation here? They're averaging around 23 points a game, which is a little bit above middle of the pack in the NFL, but it's still not bad. And with a defense like us that, we do have a lot of people down, what's your expectation when it comes to their offense against our, I guess half of a defense that we're carrying on right now?
You just said it, the half of the defense. I'm hoping that they don't pick our weakest links or whoever the weakest link or two are this upcoming game against the Eagles. They got the weapons. Just a matter of do they always kind of work well? They're 2-3 for a reason, so I don't think so. But they have the potential. Eagles, to me, are kind of what I said, and I take back about the Patriots, and I think this is a little more relevant to the Eagles, which is this team could be someone that just starts firing on all cylinders and starts looking real good after us or whatever, or they just look like they're just going to be mediocre, or if anything, maybe a little bit downhill. So the way I see it, I don't think it's going to work well just because I didn't see anything super special out of, the way anyone really performed specifically against the Carolina Panthers. That was a really interesting game. I saw the highlights or whatever, and I just felt like Sam Darnold and the Panthers kind of just gave them a silver plate the way they got that win. So I don't think so. Listen, I think we're going to have some slips, and I think, my only concern is I hope that these Eagles receivers don't just kind of pick up on our weakest link. It's just like from the top of my head, I'm thinking, how is someone like Richard Sherman going to go against these people, because
Probably I would agree with you, but you probably got to put there, I would assume with Devontae Smith's speed, you got to probably put Jamal Dean on him because, Sherman is just not that fast.
Oh yeah, but what if not Devontae Smith? They got the other guys as well. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of how much we pick up on these things. This could turn out to be a Patriots-esque game, just because of the situation. We're talking Eagles fans, and We're talking about a half, DB right now, DB unit. So this could be a hit or miss. I hope it's not something too detrimental. But I listen. I think we're gonna have some slips here and there. It's not gonna be all sunshine and rainbows, of course not. But I think we should be able to dominate. Um, Stefan, to really just summarize my overall feeling was probably just this is just going to come down to who's clicking better and who's ready for the dog fight. This one's just going to be a dog fight just because it's a Thursday night game.
They're always ugly.
Exactly. But this could also turn out to not be ugly on both ends. I could see both of them racking up some points. But then it's just going to come down to, all right, well, who's got the better defense? As of right now, I can safely say that I think it's the Buccaneers. But you never know. You never know, Stefan. Based on what we got, based on the injuries and stuff like that. It just takes a few little, slips or errors between Kevin Minter, Devin White, a few of the other guys up front, and the DB specifically, just for this game to be a downhill kind of performance. And I don't think we're going to lose, but this could be a lot more serious than any of us think it will be.
I agree. And I completely agree with your analysis there. The last one that I'll bring up here in this segment is, it looks like Dallas Goedert will miss the game due to COVID. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think. I mean, he's good. He's good, but Zach Ertz is no slouch, so he'll be ready to play. And especially, he's probably licking his chops when he saw that Levante David's not playing. So, any thoughts on this? I mean, again, if both of our linebackers would be healthy, I wouldn't be that concerned. But I guess Goddard is their starter for a reason, but Zach Ertz is not a bad football player. So, what are your thoughts here?
Oh yeah, he's not bad at all. I don't think anything's been clicking too well with these tight ends and Jalen Hurts. So regardless of whoever it is, I don't think there's going to be a huge kind of difference. Now with Levante David out, that may affect us more than anything. But Dallas Goedert out and Zach Ertz in, I don't think they're going to be adding anything or really losing too much either. It's just going to come down to really Zach Ertz and how he's feeling, or / how much pressure we're putting on Jalen Hurts. That's all it really is. But then I'm also thinking, how much can Zach Ertz do with the rest of the guys that are on his team / it's football. So boom, if he gets banged up a little bit, he's got to sit out on the side, whether that be for a minute or 20 minutes. Then, to be honest, from the top of my head, I don't even know who their next tight end is. And respectfully, I don't think I really care, Stefan, because I don't think they're going to be relevant at all. So I don't think this is going to be. This is just going to come down to: are we just going to let these not random, but are we just going to let just any of these open Eagles players, anyone that Jalen Hurts can just quickly just get to, just slip by us? That's my only worry for someone like Zach Ertz. Are we just going to let him slip around here and there? Are we going to be sleeping on him? Is he going to be a little more fired up, as you said, because, someone like Levante David is out? I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but I don't see too much going on.
I would agree, yeah. I mean, I don't think they have a huge drop-off there either. So, that being said, that does conclude our preview. Let's jump into, our two last segments that we both love, that guessing game part of the segment, right? Let's start with the awards this week. Who is your Mr. Fantasy Musab this week and why?
My Mr. Fantasy this week, I'm going to have to give it to, again, I gave him a shout out before for being my RBLR, but I'm going to give it to AB again. I'm feeling actually really good about him. I think that this is the performance he had this past weekend, and knowing the situation we're dealing with, Thursday night football game and injuries, et cetera, you're expecting a veteran like him to just step up and hype up the guys, motivate them, and keep pushing them. I think this is just going to come down to basically him being someone that's motivating everyone, but also I think he knows what he needs to do now. I think he got a real good feel, and I don't know. The chemistry that I saw between him and Brady was like, wow. That's something we've been missing out on for a while with AB, Stefan, and I'm sure a lot of people can say that. I know you've been watching the Steelers in the past, so I know you
Yeah.
have a lot of love and respect for him. So seeing something like that, I can't imagine how someone like you were feeling, but I was like, wow, this is it's always nice to see things like that more than anything.
Hey, listen, AB's having a hell of a week, right? He criticized the Raiders. We all know what's going down over there, and then the Steelers seem to not be having a good year either. So it looks like AB almost, even though he had all his off field issues, it looks like he's cleaned up himself there. But he's having I guess, a sort of a revenge week, if he wants to call it. But yeah, I like the pick. I will go with these Thursday games. For me, Musab, they're always very ugly and kind of weird. They're hard to predict. So I'm gonna go with something completely off the wall. I'm gonna say Cam Brate. I'm gonna say he visits the end zone twice this week. We've missed that presence in the red zone from Gronk, and I think someone's got to step up. And I'll take my risk with Cam before I do with OJ. I love Cam's hands, so I'm gonna go with Cam Brate.
Like that. I
Let's
like that a lot, Stefan. That's a very how do I say that? A very ballsy, risky pick. And I'm rooting for it, Stefan. I want to see Braid step up. I want to see him shine. He's been with us for a while, so he's one of the guys now more than anything. So yeah,
He's a
I like that.
Harvard
I
guy
like that
too.
pick,
Gotta love
Stefan.
it.
You know what? I'm gonna have my eyes out on. All this Dallas Goddard, Zach Ertz talk. Let's give some love to our tight ends, won't we? Shout out to Cameron Brake, because we think you're gonna have a good game tomorrow.
I love that. And before we wrap up here, Musab, yeah, let's do the game prediction. So, what do you got and why? What do you got here?
Well, a famous man once said about 2 minutes ago, with Thursday night football games, you don't know how it's gonna be. And that's that's the same way I feel, Stefan. I agree with you. But what I'm also going to say is I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a shootout or a semi shootout, at least for them. Uh, there's going to be some ups and downs, but my final prediction is going to be 38-24 Bucs win. I think we're going to be firing a lot more than them in the beginning. I think they might be, racking up some points here and there if we have some slips or whatever. But I think this is going to be our game. We're going to be dominating. It's not going to be some game like we had against the Dolphins. I think this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But I will say that there are different challenges. Like, for example, I brought up like the dual threat or just, just a different, diverse group of players that they have, which is I think this is going to be a solid test. I think this is going to be like, hey, now we're playing a solid team. They're coming off a win. They got some good guys. We have an interesting situation, aka we just have some injuries that could bite us. But let's see how we work. And we're in for a treat because it's a Thursday night football game, and I can imagine how these guys are feeling right now, coming off a win and also trying to make sure that they get another one. Because hey, I'll tell you this. We are the Super Bowl champs, if you didn't know.
Yeah, don't forget, right? So I will go. I'll go a closer ball game that you have. I think this is a quick turnaround for both teams. We have a lot of injuries, and I think our defense is going to struggle a little bit with this dual threat quarterback. And he's playing confident. They just came back and won that game versus Carolina, so I expect a close one. But for all those who are betting the game, I am picking them to cover. So I'm going 31-23 Bucs. What do you think there, Musab?
31-23, that seems reasonable to me, and seems like that could happen as well. I think that it could be a closer fight than I expect. But listen, Stefan, what keeps me smiling after you saying your score prediction is just making sure that you have our Bucks winning. So I'm with it. I like it, and sounds good to me. And listen, it's a Thursday night football game, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if you get it perfect, or if you're a lot closer than I am.
I like that. I like that. Right, very unbiased opinion there. But hey, that being said, we want to thank our listeners who've been here with us for about an hour now. we really appreciate you tuning in every week, and we're as excited as you guys are about the Bucs. Right, a 4-1 start. I mean, even with all the injuries, it's just a beautiful start. So really can't complain a lot. That being said, we really appreciate your time. If you could really follow us in all the social media platforms at RBLR Sports, we would really appreciate that, as well as like and subscribe, to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and all the major podcast platforms. And, that will wrap us up. Go Bucs, and I'll leave you with the last word, Musa.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know you can hear me, but perhaps you can smell something. It's a win. I'm feeling really, really good tomorrow. And ladies and gentlemen, week 5 starts tomorrow for us, because tomorrow we are going to be playing the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football. And I'm also going to say this as well. Maybe you had a good week, maybe you had a bad week, but I'll say this. You're about to have a great Friday, because Thursday night, we're coming with the win. And with that being said, as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.